Hi everyone, welcome back to Marriage Money Bootcamp. Today I'm really excited because we're doing an interview with a marriage and family therapist industry veteran. Her name is Victoria Vogel, and I'd like her to introduce herself.
Yes, my name is Victoria Vogel. I've been working with couples for over 30 years, and I love working with couples in all different stages of their relationships, with younger couples, teenagers, young couples that are engaged right after they've gotten married, having a new child, going through all the challenges of parenting, having a teenager, and then later in life, going more towards retirement, and when health issues come up, towards the end of life with death. I love working with all the different beautiful mixtures of type of couples also. And I also do neurofeedback, which for most people, it speeds up their couples therapy.
Do you think that there's value in a couple who maybe really doesn't see that they're having issues, just doing it from a preemptive or a maintenance type engagement where they have a therapist or a counselor that they feel good about and feel like they can be open with, and they just meet with them maybe quarterly or twice a year just to feel good about getting things out in the open?
I will often tell a young couple that's engaged or just got married, it's so nice to have someone in your back pocket, so that you've already made that connection, you've already know who that person is, so that when something is starting to creep up and there's a little friction, there's some challenges coming in, just go in for a couple appointments. And having that space where someone else is there, you're not going to blow up and start a fight and yell at each other, and that they can help you with giving you tools to work with the situation. But gosh, so much of it is just having another person there to kind of help keep you on track with a difficult conversation that you need to have, and someone who really cares about you and is rooting for you and giving you some guidance.
What are you've worked with a lot of couples over the years, just maybe give us 3 or 4 core themes that drive a couple to come into your office, just main trigger points, let's say.
I would say someone feels like they're being controlled. You hear that word a lot. He or she is controlling me. And especially a lot in the beginning of a marriage with the birth of a child. Because it's usually, the mom that's very vulnerable, and she's always been in control of her life, and all of a sudden she has very little control of her life because it's all about taking care of the infant. So that's very, very common. And then and money issues. Not feeling safe, very, very worried about the future, not feeling like they're on the same page with finances. And then it can just be like we're just not connected like we used to be. We want to feel more connected, don't know quite what's happened, and how to get back to that place of connection, being on the same team, getting the fun back into the relationship.
And something we talked about also that's worth bringing up, and it kind of connects to vulnerability, is debt. I'm going to quote you. You said that all else being equal, a couple without debt is happier than a couple with debt.
Right.
Do you just how do couples handle that? How do couples handle digging out of debt as new parents? Is that something that can often cause appointments being scheduled in your office, I guess?
Oh yeah, most definitely, because the discomfort can be so strong. So in our culture, most people do have to go in debt. You have to get out. Most people would like to buy a home. For some people, I don't think that's the right way to go, and it's so different all over the country. In a car, and other things. But I think this is where it can be really nice to work with a therapist or a financial planner like yourself that has a really high emotional IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Is really looking at what makes you happiest in life. If travel is really what makes you happy, if or maybe one or both people are really homebodies,
Mm-hmm.
and having a beautiful home that they can hang out in just makes them tickled to death.
Mm-hmm.
But really prioritizing and keeping your eye on that goal
Mm-hmm.
as you're taking out loans. And it's like, well, we want to keep setting up our life so we can keep doing what makes us happy,
Mm-hmm.
what continues to bring us together. And it can be challenging because sometimes, a lot of young people, they don't even really know what it feels like to be in debt.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at maybe what came up for your parents,
Mm-hmm.
or the beliefs in your family of origin, that can give you a little bit of insight. But I can't recommend enough talking to older people,
Mm-hmm.
older family members, other older professionals, to really, that's a sign of strength and a sign of courage,
Mm-hmm.
to reach out and ask people about their life stories, and to give advice and some type of guidance. But as a culture, I think it's very easy for Americans to feel trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And debt can make you feel trapped, and trap can bring up a lot of really very strong, ugly, difficult feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of, each step of the way, want to try to be exploring that.
So that's very interesting. You brought up insurance. I think it's worth kind of highlighting this because it's an easy thing that people overlook all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They just think, oh, my employer's taking care of it. And going back to kind of one just mechanical thing you can do to address vulnerability is looking at your types of insurance that will take care of your family if you can't. And that's
Yes.
life and disability primarily.
Yes.
And those are typically available through work and through an employer, a large employer. But what almost no one thinks about, which seems kind of obvious to me, but no one does, is what happens if you change jobs, say early in, and the new company doesn't have those same benefits. Well, you've put your family at risk.
Yeah.
So just an action item absolutely is when you know you're about to have children and there are going to be people dependent on you, you have to check those boxes, preferably with personal insurance that's not tied to an employer. So.
And what I see often is mom's tied into that, because it's always coming up in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to lose my husband, I would really be hurting.
Mm-hmm.
So often the women are tracking that even more than the husband is. I see that quite a bit.